crashing through the lies and disinformation. It's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Amerigeddon. Would the globalists engineer a global crisis or a national crisis to bring in control? Well, they're already doing that on many fronts. But an even more devilish plan is clearly being developed, and this is a fiction film that parallels real-world events and near-future possible events. We're going to be playing trailers from it, giving you the website, going over it, and more. Is there anybody out there that doesn't understand and get it through their head that this was maneuvered into place to make us dependent? This is the globalist program. They admit this in countless textbooks, countless political theorems, like Cloward and Piven's just one that's better known. Not even really what they've implemented, but it's a similar system. That was just a proposal to bankrupt things, to make us all dependent and totally crash the system.
The reason I'm here today is to encourage the U.S. Congress to take action to protect our country from its most imminent threat. Electricity would cease, the internet would go down, and the banking system.
The smokescreen of national security used by government at every level.
A strong America is the only thing standing in the way. Country only needs a little chaos.
We have a fog that has descended on our entire nation.
Hello, Mr. President. Now is the time.
The average American family only has 3 days of food.
We need to talk face to face. This is important.
Sir, what's the mission? Disarm the population and restore order.
Have any weapons inside your home or on your person?
You had to give the president power to arrest any American by simply accusing them of terrorism.
The vanity of nationalism will quickly fade. These are but the birth pangs of a new world order.
I'm just so afraid of the world that you're going to have to grow up in.
This is a time, man, woman, young or old, when folks run and hide, or they pull up their bootstraps and they fight.
When you sell your soul, it's a one-time thing. There's no going back.
AmerigeddonTheMovie.com, and it's about to be in theaters. And if it's a big hit in theaters here in Texas and other areas, it will go nationwide. And I tell you, I've seen $150 million, $200 million movies like Captain America that are almost unwatchable, and the acting isn't even half as good as what you guys have put together here today. Mike Norris, a director, Gary Heavin, a writer and producer, and also stars as one of the Patriot leaders in the film. I'm also in the film with a lot of other amazing people. And again, I wasn't bragging earlier when I said I turned down being in Hollywood films. I mean, I just am not in them because I'm actually fighting the globalist, and I don't want to just be in movies for no reason unless they have a good message, and Hollywood's messages are almost universally bad. But I tell you, I saw this script, and I said, I am incredibly honored that you guys put me in the film, and I came in there with, you know, only like a day or so of the script, and you guys put up with me and did a great job. And just congratulations. You guys were on Fox and Friends this morning, I guess right after Donald Trump and with his daily visit. And that top-rated show, you've been on Coast to Coast AM. You've really been busting your butts. Gary Heavin is a billionaire, folks. He started some of the biggest companies in history, the most popular training gym for not just women, but period, in the world, Curves, before he sold it. And so it's just great to see somebody giving back to the community. I know Mr. Heavin doesn't brag about it, but behind the scenes, he also gives a lot of money to defend the Second Amendment, property rights. He had one of these billionaires that just gives money for his interest because he's basically retired. He gives money, and I know he's not going to want me to say this because some of this is inside baseball. He's one of the biggest donors out there. He's going to get harassed now by folks who want money to actual issue-based things that defend the Republic. And if more wealthy men and women would actually just not do things for their own interest, but for all of our interests, we would be in a free country. So he spent a lot of money. This was a pretty big budget film. For an independent film. He made it right here in Texas and other areas, not in Hollywood. We're very proud of Mr. Heavin. We're very proud of Mike Norris. And, you know, he's got great exploits in his own right, in films and TV and acting and TV shows he's produced, but he's also the son of the guy that when he does push-ups, the earth moves. And, of course, daily listener, I want to say hi to him. Chuck Norris, another fellow Texan, because he's from Oklahoma, which used to be North Texas before they turned it to another state. So that's North Texas, actually, North Texans. But good to have both of you here, Gary and Mike. Congratulations, gentlemen. It is so wonderful to have you with us for the next hour and a half.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Alex. And I tell you, what a great introduction. I want to thank you for being willing to come and participate in our movie. You know, what you're going to see when you come see Amerigeddon is you're going to see Alex play the evil senator. And we had to tell him, Alex, you got to tone it down a little bit. You're too evil. You know,
a little too good,
like Dr. Evil on the program. But we've made a great movie that's going to make a difference. Amerigeddon is about dealing with two issues. One is the most imminent threat that we have in America today. And that's according to the Congress. There were 2 congressional studies on electromagnetic pulse attacks. And I tell you, the movie is so timely because go back to February 7th, and North Korea launched another satellite. And North Korea, we know, has miniaturized nuclear weapons. And we know, according to Kim Jong-un, that he wants to destroy this country. So
he says he wants to EMP us. And my concern is, even if he didn't do it, the globalists could false flag it and blame it on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Which you know, Russia and China, who we have antagonized, you know, are partners with North Korea. They share technology. So if Putin has enough of American aggression, of American imperialism.
Oh, he could use Kim Jong-un, the crazy man, as the delivery system.
That's right. And Kim Jong-un will be in a nice condo, a penthouse condo in Beijing, and could care less about his people. I mean, we know this crazy guy. So we were warning people.
He is handsome, though.
Oh, yeah. The haircut and you know, a little bit of weight, you know, issue. But
he's the quintessential government thug nobody that couldn't even bench press 5 pounds, can hardly walk, just literally feeding on his people with a bunch of sycophantic communists.
Yeah, and so we've given the power to this person to destroy America. I was talking to Dr. Peter Pry, who's the leading expert on EMP. In fact, he's with Homeland Security. I was speaking with him yesterday, and I asked him, I said, what are the chances that North Korea has a nuclear weapon on that satellite that crosses the United States twice a day? And he said, very likely it exists. And this is Homeland Security's expert on EMP.
We know there's a lot of weaponized satellites that our government, the Russians, the Chinese have put in. What if one malfunctions and comes into orbit? That's why they never wanted to send some of those space probes out that were nuclear powered, because if they failed going into orbit and came back in, it could create an EMP event. But separately, the film itself is obviously trying to get folks to be aware of EMP and get Congress to move on that, and actually parallels real legislation, because for, as you say, a few $1 billion, we could shield the country by putting surge protectors basically in, giant surge protectors. But you expose how the globalists are behind this, and the UN, and so it really educates people about how world government openly states that they want to come into power through global crises, be it Zika, be it the Islamic invasion, be it EMP. Also, you told me privately before you were on air, and then the first time ever back in November of last year, you said, no, I had a bad feeling about Cruz. I don't like him. I've flown around on the jets with him. He wants me to finance him. I asked him some questions. It's private. I'm not going to get into it.
There's a criminal elite in Washington, D.C. who are bought and paid for. These people are controlling our country. You can call it the shadow government, to the deep state.
And Americans know that, and they're ready to hear it, but no one will reflect their view. Sorry.
Well, the Donald Trump movement is what this is about.
I'm interrupting you too much.
The American people have realized, they've awakened that our country has been stolen. And here's Donald Trump raising up and saying, I'm going to lead the move to take our country back. That's why Donald Trump is resonating.
There's all these populist waves coming in. And sure, you've been a patriot for 30, 40 years. You've been brought up one. We're kind of old-timers at this, but isn't it exciting to see our ideas, our understanding being validated and proven? Fluoride really is bad for your brain. Hey, there really is a world government. Hey, there really is an Illuminati. Hey, they really are establishing Sharia law in areas of Europe. Everything we've warned people about, global governance, the attack on the family, 9/11, and our government working with the Saudis, it's all coming out.
It's amazing.
Please continue. I'm ranting. It's just the points you make are so good.
And I'm tempted to, too, because I'm so excited.
Do it. Go wild.
I'm so excited about this. You know, you missed vaccines, and you missed military-industrial complex. I mean,
everything. Yeah.
The corporatist have bought and paid for this country. You know, this Trans-Pacific Partnership, and that was part of how I outed Cruz. Any of our politicians, and many of them, and I'm a big former Republican donor, the Republicans signed into the law the fast-tracking of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And what you need to know about that is, number one, is any of our politicians that thought the TPP was a good idea are traitors to this country. That law or that trade agreement takes away the sovereignty of nations and states and gives it over to a tribunal of corporate attorneys who all they have to do is determine that a corporation has been harmed financially from the act of
we got proven right about corporate world government. Here it is, and they call it global government, and the Pope calls it world government. What do you think's happening? I mean, 100 years from now, what will they call this time in history?
Well, they're either going to call it the Great Awakening or the Great Disaster.
You know a lot of people. Do you know Trump, A, and then B, from knowing folks that do know him and being a fellow, successful billionaire, what is your gut reaction? What do you think of Trump? Me personally, there's no way all this elitist hatred is a fake or a shill to make us think he's good when he isn't. I mean, they think he's coming in to take over something, their quarry, something they've already taken over, something they're reveling in dominating, and Trump's coming in with nationalism and things that even if he wasn't for real, what he's saying is sunshine to vampires. What's your view?
Well, I haven't met Trump personally, but I just received my third invitation to be on his advisory committee. That's a small group of people.
Oh, wow, great.
And I didn't want to accept that because I felt like it would kind of bias me towards him while we're trying to focus on the movie. And also, I had to talk about Cruz objectively. When I was on your program, I first outed Cruz back in November.
Even before Trump was on the radar. We didn't discuss him.
Yeah, I was invited to dinner with Cruz, and I saw it as an opportunity to...
You were first here in 2014. Wow.
Yeah. And Cruz was somebody I was actually excited about. I thought, oh, man, here's a Christian. Here's a guy that is a constitutionalist. And when I had dinner with him, he began...
Do me a favor. Go all the way, because you went further at dinner a few times. I mean, yeah, tell us everything you can.
Okay, so we're at dinner at the governor's mansion. Governor Abbott set me beside him, which was kind of cool. About six of us. And Cruz began to pontificate about the Ukraine. And his version of it was that Putin's a bad guy. Putin went into Crimea and was raping and pillaging into Ukraine. And after I listened to this for about 10 minutes, I just couldn't be quiet about it. I said, Senator, look, there's a whole other version of this. You know that Victoria Nuland, who worked for the State Department for Hillary Clinton, was caught talking about spending $6 billion to overthrow the elected government of Ukraine. And you know that the central bankers put the central banker in charge of running the government right away.
And this is all on video. She said this on C-SPAN.
This is all fact. And so I'm explaining this version of it. The governor's kind of looking at me. It was getting a little hot. And I turned to the governor. I said, you going to invite me back?
Wow, Cruz was getting mad, yeah.
And he was, because I had the facts. Putin didn't go into Crimea and overrun that country. The Crimeans had a referendum, and 94% of them said, no, we want to go with Russia.
Because they're traditionally Russia. And look, I'm not defending Russia. It's done some bad things to Ukraine, vice versa. But the country's always been split. But the West initiated. George Soros bragged that he engineered it. Well, this guy's our mortal enemy.
And look at the government in place right now. They're made up of neo-Nazis. These guys have swastikas.
And it's the same elite that won a civil war here.
Yep. And so who's behind this? Well, the central banks are behind it because that's how they acquire the assets of a country, just like Greece. Goldman Sachs created the Greece mess so they could turn worthless cash into hard assets like the airports and the electrical grid. Well, you also have Monsanto. They have been trying to get GMO seeds into Europe. Well, Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. So Monsanto wanted us in there. Then, of course, you have the military-industrial complex, which wants a war because they profit off of war.
They're kicking the door down to Russia, and Russia's got its own problems. But these are globalists trying to use American muscle to start a war with Russia, and it's crazy.
Cruz told me at the end of the dinner that he said, I'm not a neocon. And I kind of looked stunned, and I was thinking, well, of course you're a neocon. You're trying to get our kids into Ukraine. You're trying to get them to Syria. You're a warmonger. So I went and researched Cruz, and then I find out, of course, that his wife's a VP for Goldman Sachs. She's a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, specifically the committee to eliminate borders in the U.S. Through the North American
Trans-Pacific Partnership ties into the North American Union agreements.
North American Union agreement. And then, of course, we find out a few months ago that Cruz didn't report a loan he got from Goldman Sachs and Citibank of $1 million for his campaign. So he's bought and paid for by the bankers. He's bought and paid for by military industrial. Then he voted for the TPP fast track, so he's bought and paid for by the corporatists. And then you look at his own website, look at his advisors. 2 of them are former CIA directors, and the others are bankers. This guy is an insider's insider.
He came in here as a Bush sleeper cell because they knew their name was dead.
Yep.
And he is the 4th Bush administration attempt.
Well, you know what the elites have done is they create the illusion of choice. So we can choose either of their 2 candidates that are bought and paid for. Cruz was the designated opponent, and he was set up for that purpose. And the reason he lost so badly is the American people began to wake up over these last few months.
Well, especially when he started saying Trump supporters are the violent ones, when it was a bunch of George Soros, literal kill the cop people, beating up men, women, and children, and we got the footage. I want to say InfoWarriors, our listeners, our viewers got the footage, but my crew, all that great crew back there, had the courage to go get that footage, and that helped push it over the edge, you exposing. And we're not bragging here. It's saying we have power. The people can resist. We can say no to the evil. God is helping us. And you know, notice here's Gary Heavin. Obviously, he didn't make this movie to make money. He put all his money into the movie as a labor of love. And then now here he is not even promoting the movie, just wanting to expose the globalist because he's got such passion for it. And by the way, Mike Norris is an amazingly humble man. But boy, is he smart behind the scenes at dinner or around the office about things when he gets to ranting. I tell you, he's got that fire in the belly. I wish Mike Norris would tell us what he really thinks about everything. He's being very polite right now.
You know, it's interesting. There's a segment of the population that is on the fence that could go one way or the other. They hear the information and they're trying to process it. For a long time, that was me. I was very much into the Second Amendment, the Constitution. These are things that my dad brought me up believing. Second Amendment, the Constitution. But once you start peeling back the onion, the more you start learning. And with my relationship with Gary and just the conversations we have listening to your show, you know, I've now realized on my own that there are nefarious things happening behind the scenes, and it's scary. And it's a perfect timing for Amerigeddon to come out right now, just the way the climate of the country is, and just the Trump movement has just really brought the, like I said, the patriots to a boil.
I feel providence in the air.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I really feel blessed to be part of this project because, you know, this was Gary's project. This was Gary's passion project, something that he knew very well. He understood very well, and I came into it as a filmmaker.
Stay there. Let's come back and talk more about it with the director, Mike Norris, AmerigeddonTheMovie.com. Check out the trailer. It's got 4 million views. Oh, my gosh. Seriously, though, the break interrupted us. Gary was getting, Gary Heavin here, one of the producers on the film, successful billionaire businessman from Texas, fighting the globalist, trying to keep the Republican Party on the straight and narrow, which has been a hard job. He's here fighting back through media where the real fight goes on. But you were getting into Ted Cruz, and you were talking about, when I said, what do you think of Ted Cruz? Because I liked him. You know, we've interviewed him once, but I knew his pedigree was Bush, but I was hoping he was real. I liked his, record in the Senate, which I guess was a beard for his real ambitions. He said, not good. Very, very, get a bad vibe. And, he's kind of neocon globalist. And I'm not going to tell you all the stuff, but it's not good. And, I'm concerned. He's connected to the Bushes and Goldman Sachs. And this was like a year and a half ago. This was in November of 2013. We have a clip of this. In fact, we'll put it on screen from YouTube, and I'll try to give you the exact date. But here you are like a year and a half ago or longer. This is almost 2 years ago when you were first on, when you were just about to make the film and were inviting me to come and be part of it, that now is premiering tonight and tomorrow. But let's go ahead and play that clip where Gary Heavin basically first sounded the alarm in a very gentlemanly way about Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz
like the guy, but I vetted him and I don't trust him. I believe that he's given himself over to the elite, to the establishment, and in fact, we can't go into all that. But the only guy I've got any hope for right now is Rand Paul. And I've met Rand Paul. I've talked to Rand Paul.
Tell me about, I know him as well, done it for 20 years. Tell me but I haven't talked to him in years. Tell me what you got from meeting with him.
I'll tell you two things. The first thing is that I'm convinced he's the son of his father. And I'm a big fan of his father.
That's why they hate him. They know he's for real.
Yeah. But the other thing is he's also smart, and he's staying in the middle to stay electable.
And they know he's doing that.
So I believe that if he gets elected by staying in the middle, that he'll be the son of his father when he's in power.
And that's exactly what...
Oh,
that's enough right there. The Atlantic and the New York... I want to say great job to the crew. They found the second time you were on, the first time you said it privately, but also some on air from the year before that. But there you are before anybody was saying that. And of course, there's more stuff that went on behind the scenes. You don't want to put it all out here. But you basically told me the first time we met that you were being nice on air saying, I like the guy. But didn't you kind of tell me at dinner the first time we met in 2014, he kind of creeped you out?
Well, if
you want to be a nice guy, I get it. Plus, he got mad at you when you argued with him.
Yeah, because he's not used to being challenged. I was on the Jim Baker show Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. Millions of people heard me talk about it, and Jim Baker was thought it was important enough because the Christians had been deceived by Ted Cruz, and I've got a lot of Christians that are mad at me for talking out about Ted Cruz. Well, truth is the truth, and I was really hopeful that we had one of us running for office.
You got to go with your gut, go with your spirit.
And if you look at Cruz's charity donations between 2005 and 2012, he gave away under 1%, and he didn't give anything to any church. So those Christians out there that would be mad at me for criticizing Cruz, hey guys, look, I don't like it either, but you've got to look at the evidence, and the evidence is that he doesn't tithe. He doesn't really give anything to charities.
Faith without works is dead.
There you go. So it is what it is. And fortunately, he's now relegated to the back burner. Although, you hear him rambling about making a comeback now. It was on your website yesterday.
Yeah, I know. He said it on radio shows and stuff. I said the whole time he's going to double back. Look, we have Stone coming on later. They are still planning. He has it in their meetings. He has moles. Yeah. They're planning to still try to put Paul Ryan in there, too. They're doing it.
Our talking the truth about Cruz may have a bigger impact than we can ever imagine. Now, I pray for Trump and that he's protected, and he is our only hope. Standing against these globalists that want, Henry Kissinger said that a strong America is the only thing standing in the way of a new world order.
That's right. But he said if Los Angeles collapsed into total riots and the country was in revolution, then we would welcome UN peacekeepers.
And he said that you control oil, you control the nations, you control food, you control the people.